Welcome back to another episode of Tips and Tricks with your favorite instructor, Instructor Shelton. Today, I have Miss Kristen Dicerbo with us. How are you doing, Kristen?
Good, thanks for having me.
Yes, and Kristen is, big wig. Hello, Kristen. And I want Kristen to come on and share her knowledge. Kristen, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. So my big wig title is Chief Learning Officer at Khan Academy, educational psychologist. So I went to school to learn how people learn, and I've been spending most of my career embedding research about how people learn into digital tools so that students can use them and make the most of those tools and really make sure that they're learning while they're using them.
I love that. Yes. Okay. So what do you want to share with us today, Kristen, about Khan Academy? How can we better navigate the site and use it to really help enhance learning?
So I know one of the things that lots of high school students use this for is preparation for the SAT. And so we have done some research where we looked at the change in people's scores from PSAT to SAT and looked at what they are doing on our platform. And the students who have the biggest gains, what are the things that they do so that we can recommend those to people? So the first thing is, if you've taken a PSAT, you can link it in when you start working with Khan Academy. And you may think, oh, that seems like a lot of work. It's only a few clicks. But what it does is it helps us personalize the recommendations that you get so that we know the skills that you might want to or need some extra practice on. So that's the first thing, is do that linking. It will give you a better experience. The next thing is, if you don't do that, you can take some diagnostic quizzes so that if you haven't taken the PSAT, that's okay. You can take those quizzes so we can figure out what you know. But then those recommendations, they're not just based on what you know, they're also based on how frequently skills appear on the SAT. So if you have two choices, if you just want to pick from the list of skills, things to practice, you can do that. But the people who follow the recommendations that we make actually do better on the end of SAT, because those are a combination of what they need to know and then the things that are going to appear most often on the SAT. So go ahead and follow those recommendations. So that was actually the first thing that we found that's really important, is following recommendations. The second is focusing on leveling up those skills. So the skill levels that we have on the SAT part there's basically 4 levels. And so when you go through those, the first level is basically foundation questions. So they're like, I really don't know about this. That's okay. We can get you that foundation. The second level is kind of easier SAT questions, and the fourth are hard SAT questions. So basically, if you focus on moving from level 2 to 3, say, and we'll again make those recommendations, but don't just kind of practice and then move on to something else. Practice until you get that level up, because that's going to be a sign that you've really mastered or started to master that skill. So don't just kind of do a few and then leave. Focus on trying to level up, and that leveling up skills is another indicator of students who improved well. And then the third thing that was related to students who really improved was actually taking a practice test. And I know, again, that seems like, oh gosh, that's a set of time, but it turns out practicing the amount of time you have and kind of making yourself have a little bit of that stressful conditions you'll have in the real test is good practice, because then when you get to the real thing, you're used to it. And you know how to manage your time and do those things.
I was going to say the practice tests are probably the most important right now, because I'm going to tell you what I recognize about my students. They are not used to time. anymore. Because during the pandemic, everything went kind of with technology and everybody's on the computer. Now, all of a sudden, there are like no real deadlines. There, like, everything has been extended. And one of the things that now we're in like testing season, I realize my students have so much anxiety because they are no longer used to having this framed time. So what I've had to do to prepare them is like give them a framed time.
Yes, absolutely. And so that's part of doing the practice test. You'll see a timer that'll give you, you'll be able to see the time you have and start to, as a student, be able to, oh, I have this much time left. What should I do? How should I manage the amount of time I have? And that's a skill itself to learn. Apart from the math skills and the reading skills, is learning all of that. So absolutely, that's an important piece.
You know what, Kristen, this is awesome. I definitely need to have you back, because what I would like to have you do is actually take us on Khan Academy and actually like show us around the suite so we can kind of see, okay, this is what it is we can do. Here is where we can go, because all of these things you said, that the SAT prep, I didn't even know, first of all, that you could link your PSAT to Khan Academy and it can personalize your learning. That's like mind blowing that Khan Academy offers that. And it's wonderful, because I mean, to have a lesson that's tailor-made to your skills is so important, because so many of these tests are just thrown together and they're not personalized in any way. And a lot of these sites are just kind of random skills that you can acquire, but the skills don't necessarily like apply to you.
Right. And because we're the official partner of the SAT, we also have that data about those skills that are going to appear the most often. So that combination of your skills for you and skills that are going to appear most often on the SAT is really powerful. And it's free.
Oh my goodness, that is so much information and so good. The diagnostic quiz, the recommendation, the guided practices, like this is just so leveling up on the skills. And I have to, you have to like enforce the level up, because a lot of them will get comfortable and be like, oh, I know how to do this. And you're comfortable. Well, if you're comfortable now, that means you need to level up on your skill set.
That's right. Show us what you know. Show us you can do it, and that'll go up to the next level. Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. I really love this. Thank you so much, Kristen.
My pleasure. And I'd be happy to come back anytime and talk more about these things.
Yay. Well, this has been another episode of Tips and Tricks with your favorite instructor, Instructor Shelton and Kristen Dicerbo. See you guys later.